Yeah. Yeah, man. I know the thing that drove me was I swallowed the pill that I gotta be committed to the process of becoming. And I know for a fact, not just in sports, but also for certain things off the field, that if I commit to the process, it increases the likelihood. So we're talking about percentages, because in every sport, there's a percentage that if you do X, Y, and Z, it'll yield a higher percentage. And so I just want to encourage all the student athletes out here, be focused on the process of becoming, because if you don't focus on becoming and you don't become, you won't be able to perform when you need to perform.
Yeah. And in order to become, man, you got to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
you got to be honest, man. People, man, these young cats got to stop running around here just saying that they nice just for the sake of saying I'm nice, and they put in no work.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Like mentally, Friday, Saturday night, we played. Sunday, you sitting watching film, and the eye in the sky don't lie.
Right.
You got to be able to say, this play I did this well. This play I did this well.
Yep.
This play you stunk. What did you not do right? Did you take the wrong angle? Yep. You got to be honest about that. So yeah, we gotta be honest, man. And mentally, in our mind, we got to look at the game film and know that nobody does everything perfect.
Right.
In baseball, to become a Hall of Famer, I got to be able to hit the ball, or a great home run hitter, I got to hit the ball 3 out of 10 times.
Right.
So 7 times I'm not hitting the ball.
Right.
Your greatest cat's gonna strike out 7 times out of 10.
Right.
But I need to focus on that process of becoming to hit the ball 3 times out of 10.
Right.
Which puts me in a different league. And I think that's transferable across the board. What's up, student athlete world? It's your boy Lester Sanders here from Canton, Ohio, home of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And this is I Am Student Athlete. What's good, student athlete world? Welcome to the I Am Student Athlete podcast. I am Lester Sanders, your host, and this is
Jay Keys, your co-host.
We're coming to you straight out of Canton, Ohio, home of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. This is the podcast where we coach you to be triple-double mindset student athletes, which is to be great, number 1, in the classroom, number 2, on the field of court, and number 3, in the game of life. Jay Keys, we back at it again. This is the second episode, the second episode of the I Am Student Athlete podcast. And, you know, I really looked at the way that the conversation went on the first episode, that maybe we should stick in that route of student athlete success. We focused on what's the price of entry. But today I want to do a part 2. I think the conversation went so well. So I wanted to kind of stay in that lane. So when we talk about student athlete success, what is the price of entry? I really, for this one, this part 2, I want to focus on the commitment to the process, because there's a lot of people who have the picture of success that they want on the field or court. But the question becomes, for today's student athlete at any level, of course, you know, we targeting college and high school students to get them what they need to be successful in all aspects of life. But I really think from my student athlete development background, from my stint in coaching and also in student development, I'm seeing there needs to be an increase in the commitment to the process. And when I was looking at where we wanted to go with today's podcast, this quote by Inky Johnson really popped up. It was Inky Johnson who said, "Can you be committed to the process of what you're doing without being committed to the result of what you're doing. I'm gonna say that again, Jay. He said, can you be committed to the process of what you're doing without being committed to the result of what you're doing? And I really think this isn't just for sports. This isn't just for student athletes. I think this is a place in everyday life across all generations, especially in today's social media world, especially with cameras is all over the place. People being able to have access to do their own advertising. You can just listen to what people saying 24 hours a day, but particularly for student athletes, can you be committed to the process of what you're doing, hence being a student athlete, without being committed to the result of what you're doing? I think that's a huge quote right now, because so many times student athletes are focusing on starting right off bat or playing for this team or that team and right off back. Or did I go, when was I offered? Was I offered? How many offers did I get? But at the end of the day, once you're on a team, no matter what sport, can you be committed to the process of what you're doing without being committed to the result? And I think that changes the game on how a student athlete approaches the game. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I feel like, a lot of people, they're missing a step, because, a lot of us have a tendency to, want the prize, before being able to truly commit to the process. Everybody want to be the man. You know what I'm saying? Everybody want to be the man. Everybody want to have, the accolades and the awards and the attention and all of those things. But, just like Ingy Johnson said, there's a process, before the reward, before those things, actually come into fruition. We live in a society today where it's a microwave society, and everybody want, everybody want it quick. Everybody want it instantly, instant gratification, and it's no such thing unless you hit the lottery. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it's just no such thing. There's always a process, and that process always starts with building a foundation. So a foundation has to be established, just like when you build in a house, you know what I'm saying? You can just start by building the roof, you know what I mean? You have to start by building the basement, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then you work your way on up, you know what I mean?
Work that, because the foundation, on average, you got to go deep in the ground.
You got to go deep in the ground. You got to go deep in the ground. Exactly. And that's going to allow you to be able to weather the storm. You know what I'm saying? Because you're deeply rooted. A lot of houses and stuff don't make it, because, their houses weren't,
on a firm foundation.
The firm foundation, when all that stuff had happened during, Hurricane Katrina, if people can remember way back, a lot of the houses and stuff that were destroyed were because those houses weren't built on good foundations. They weren't down deep in the ground, but, like I remember seeing a picture, during those hurricanes, and there was all these houses that had got knocked down, but it was one house. It was one house that still remained out of all these other houses that was around them that had got destroyed. And it was because that house was an older house. It was an older model, and they didn't take any shortcuts, and they built the foundation deep into the ground, and that house was able to remain a stand. And it's the same thing with athletes. If you're going to be able to remain to stand, your foundation has to be deeply rooted, and it has to be a process that's taking place there in order, for all of the other things to come along, the glitz and the glamour and the rewards and, and all of that other stuff.
Yeah.
Without it, it's highly likely that that's impossible.
Yeah. So I want to be clear. When we're talking about being committed to the process, we're not saying that you don't want to have a focus on starting if that's your goal. We're not saying you don't want to try to get certain accolades or certain stats. I think that's part of being an athlete, but we're talking about what's priority here. So I don't want any of the viewers to get it twisted and think that, oh, we're not worried about certain things. Yeah, we do want results. But what we're saying is that if we put a prioritized focus on the process of becoming, the process of doing, that prioritization will lead us to the results. Because Absolutely. You can want results all day long, but if you don't do certain things, it's not going to happen. I remember being my first year as a freshman defensive back coach at Camp McKinley, Jay. And one of the first things I would do is have my defensive backs just line up straight down a particular yard line. And they would be like, what we doing, coach? We just stand in the line. And I would just have them, number one, get in a good defensive back stance and just stand there and talk for about at least 5 to 10 minutes. Because I was trying to introduce them to a process of you being a student athlete, you being a defensive back, and defensive backs have to run backwards. And you're trying to compete with somebody running forwards. So if you don't prepare your hip muscles and get your hip muscles in shape to try to run just as fast backwards as you can forward, it never starts the process. And then after about 2 minutes, you start seeing them step up. You start seeing them raise up and like, coach, this is hurting. But it's like, we got to go through this process of you hurting for a couple of days, and then you get comfortable in that position, which makes you comfortable taking off when the ball is snapped. But if we miss that step of your muscles being broken down in order to be stronger, you'll never get to the point where you can be the type of defensive back that you need to be. And I think that's a universal principle across all sports. Like, we got to focus on the basics. What are the basics from day one all the way through the season? Because I think we could get more out of student athletes if we focus on what are the basics, number one, in the sport, and then also what are the basics in life, what are the basics in the classroom. And if we commit to those processes, we'll get the results that we're looking for.
Yeah, I mean, it's a famous story out there, that this guy that writes a magazine, who was meeting Kobe Bryant, because Kobe was getting ready to go work out, and he wanted to, be able to do this interview and whatnot. So, he had found out, Kobe was, I think he was doing a camp. I think he was doing a camp at the time or whatever. So, this guy wanted to do this article on him or what have you. And the only time that he would have an opportunity to interview Kobe would have been, during a certain time of the day, before the camp and stuff had started. So Kobe was like, had told him what time he was going to work out. And Kobe told him, he said, I'm going to be at the gym at 4:00 in the morning. And so dude had to meet him at 4:00 in the morning. So he was like, when he got back to the hotel and all of that stuff, he was like, I set my alarm clock, for 3. He said, because I wanted to hurry up and get over to the gym and, and all of that stuff, so I didn't miss him, And so he said, I left early, thinking I was going to beat him, to the gym. And he said, and when I pulled up in the parking lot, the lights and stuff was already on. And he said, he thought that was kind of odd. So he said he walked on over to the gym or whatever. And he said he heard a ball bouncing. And he said when he walked in the gym.
And this is before 4:00.
Before 4:00. Kobe was already in the gym in a full sweat. And he said, man, Kobe was probably like 20 minutes into his workout already. And he said, so for like the next 40 minutes, he said he just watched Kobe do something that was very interesting to him. And he said, for those next 40 minutes that he had watched, he said Kobe just kept working on the same stuff over and over and over again. And he was like, man, it was just basic, fundamental, you know, technique,
Technique and basketball moves.
Yeah, just, simple stuff, mic and drills, right hand, left hand, right hand, left hand. He said, and then he would step out, about 5 feet, off the backboard on the left side of the floor, off the backboard, and the right side of the floor, off the backboard, and then he was working on his footwork, just off a little pivot, and left pivot, then right pivot, stuff like that. He said, man, Cole probably wasn't moving. He said he probably wasn't doing anything outside of 10 feet. He said for, 40 minutes, he said it was just real basic. And he said he remember asking Kobe afterwards, what was the purpose, in doing that? He said, man, without this, none of the other stuff, he said none of the other stuff would be possible. He said because he said, man, it's because of the basics and the foundation that the other things are possible.
And the fundamentals, yeah.
Yeah.
So you got even the great Kobe Bryant, and we probably could go through a list of another 50 greats in basketball. We could go through that in football, tennis, volleyball, badminton.
Right.
We could go with any sport, but he focused so much on the basics that and the fundamentals that it opened the door for the dunks, the fadeaways, the crossovers. And see, you just hit the focus of today, because I think so many student athletes, right now I'm the student athlete development coach. I don't deal with the X's and O's. I deal with student athlete development, getting your mindset ready for the game, and not just Glen Oak players, but this is players nationwide, worldwide. There's so much of a focus on the dunk, the crossover, and that reigning 3-point shot. And those things get opened up from the fundamentals. So Absolutely. If a man who's making multi-millions of dollars,
one of the best to ever do it,
don't have to work a day in his life,
right,
went through the basics after winning championships, what does that say for a high school student or a college student who ain't got no money yet,
right,
who haven't been drafted yet, or who haven't got the scholarship yet? So speak to why the fundamentals is so important to master, and then they open the doors up for some of the razzle dazzle.
Yeah, I mean, it's just patience. Patience is what builds endurance. You know what I mean? So if you're able to be patient, and just allow things to bloom, just like a beautiful flower, you allowing things, to naturally take place. You're allowing nature to take its course, for you to be able to blossom into this beautiful flower. You need to be, first of all, planted in good soil, and then once you plant it in good soil.
So when you say good soil, let's translate that for today's student athletes. So you saying the soil equates to what? The right environment?
The soil definitely equates to the right environment.
Okay.
You have to position yourself to be in the right environment. I know of athletes, that had to, that was their safe haven, because the world around them was so hectic, that they were driven from that sense that this is my safe haven, to be able to get away from the things that may be going on, at home, or the things that may be going on in the neighborhood and stuff like that, but, they position themselves in the right type of environment, so they could position themselves for that type of development. So, that good soil is definitely the right environment.
So that means keeping yourself in the right places.
Yeah. You
At the right time. Yeah.
You got to be at the right places at the right time, you know, and that speaks to, you know, your focus, you know, understanding your surroundings and all of that type of stuff. But yeah, you know, being planted in good soil, and then, you know, you have to be watered, you know, that seed has to be watered, you know, and then the sunlight has to be able to hit that seed as well, you know, and then the increase will take place.
So,
you know,
so are you equating the watering and the sunlight to good people around you and listening to only good advice?
Well, I would equate the watering into your sweat.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay,
you
so the work.
Yeah, the work. Yeah, definitely the work. So that's where the watering comes from. You know, the work that you're willing to put in, you know, and the dedication, you know, how committed are you to, you know, this process, you know, how much time are you willing to put in, and then how hard are you willing to go after it, you know? So it's that sweat that's watering that seed. And then I would say, you know, as far as the sunlight is concerned, it's the people that you allow into your life.
Yeah.
You know, that's speaking, you know, positive things into you. You know, we get that positive energy and all of that type of stuff, you know, from the sun, you know. So, you know, you want people to speak positive things into you, you know. So all those things, you know, it matters. All of it matters, you know, and it's all a part of your maturation process. You know, if negative things are getting fed into you, then, you know, ultimately it's going to produce negative results.
Yeah.
You know?
So like I never like we've never seen Kobe work out personally.
Right.
But I like how you talked about you said that the man said the reporter said that he worked out on the basic fundamentals within 10 feet of the rim for 40 minutes.
40 minutes.
And so throughout multiple sports, coaches nationwide is trying to get players to focus on the fundamentals. Now, I know Kobe in his practice worked on the three-point shot. I know he worked on that mid-range shot. But it's interesting to know that someone who didn't have to work another day in his life after a few years in the league really focused on them basic parts, which hence means he was committed to the process and not just getting caught up in the flash of the game. Because what he did after the first 5 years in the league, he could have just been all about the flash.
Yeah.
But he pushed past, number one, I think his emotions.
Yeah.
He also looked at how can I increase my understanding of the game? Yeah. Because I think you go back, look at them clips from his first season, it was a big growth curve or learning curve that he had to do. So I think he tucked into, let me learn from my adversity of my first year. And he found that sweet spot and let me master the basics at a professional level that even the other professionals wasn't honing those skills, and then working at such a high level to where the other professionals who was getting paid couldn't keep up.
Man, absolutely, man. You know, I mean, it's no secret, you know, in regards to how hard Kobe used to work, you know, and you know, and when everybody started seeing that and everybody started bearing witness to it, you know, and that door really opened when he was on the Olympic team, you know, and then that's when Bron and D Wade and Melo and everybody else was able to bear witness to it, you know, literally put eyes on it, you know, in regards to his work ethic. So it was no secret in regards to that sweat, that watering that he was willing to put in. But then also you began to find out that he used to reach out to a lot of people for sound advice, you know. And once again, that's that sunlight, you know, they're speaking to him, you know.
Student athletes, listen to what this man is saying. Listen to him.
Absolutely. You know, like he wanted to get his footwork together real good. So he reached out to Hakeem Olajuwon. Everybody knew Keem had the coldest footwork. You know what I'm saying? And he was a big man.
So,
you know?
so let's pause, Jay, on that. You said he went to a veteran that had the nicest footwork, that didn't even play the same position, but his footwork was so nice that I had to humble myself.
Yes.
To get understanding.
Yes.
And learn in order to go to the next level. Keep rolling, man. I think these is like jewels we dropping right now.
Oh, most definitely, man. So
it take a lot for a athlete to humble themselves.
Oh yeah,
in any era.
but that just goes to show you, man, you know, what he was willing to sacrifice, you know, to be great. You know, so ego wasn't an issue for him. You know what I'm saying? So he was willing to sacrifice his ego and to be humble, you know, because I need that in my game. You know what I'm saying? I know where I'm trying to get to. You know, I have this vision for myself, you know, in regards to the type of player that I know I can be. And this is what's missing. So who do I need to reach out to in regards to my footwork? Got to get better.
Yeah.
So who do I need to reach out to?
So once I get into the arena of the league, in the arena of college ball, in the arena of high school ball, now I got to figure out who do I need to connect with inside the arena.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, he reached out to Keem, and Keem started spending time with him, you know, and they started working on his footwork. And then you started seeing Kobe in like his later years, you know, as he became, you know, older, you know, as an older veteran and stuff like that. And he started getting more into the post, you know, playing with his back to the basket, taking, you know, smaller guards down on the post and stuff like that. And that's where you seen, you know, all the little back downs and the footwork, you know what I'm saying? The little shoulder shimmies and all of that, you know what I mean?
I like that picture when he like leaning backwards.
All of that, you know? So, you know what I mean? He got all that from Akeem. And of course, you know, everybody know he studied Mike, you know, but he had to get his footwork together by reaching out to Akeem.
Yeah. So I want all the student athletes that's watching, there is an internal war going on the inside of every student athlete of every generation, of every pro athlete, of every generation. And I think that war is, should I be focused on the process of becoming or be focused on the results? And I think something that's skipped over so much is, if I don't focus much on that becoming, I'll never even get into the atmosphere of the results that I'm looking for.
Yeah, because you can sell yourselves false dreams, man. False, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you could be telling yourself that you nice and you really ain't that nice.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's a lot.
I really need to work on my left hand, man, and I don't do it.
Come on, man.
But this guy is taking away my left hand and I can't do nothing with it.
And swear they nice. You know what I mean? Like, man, we can sell ourselves dreams, man, all the time, man, you know, and oftentimes, you know, you really ain't like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I share the story with student athletes all the time. Like, every athlete got strengths and every athlete got weaknesses. So me playing at Camp McKinley High School, strong safety, 5'7". Now, I'm not the biggest man in the world on the field. So that means I had to increase in working on my footwork. I had to increase in working on my speed, and I had to increase in the area of being stronger. Because if you're smaller and you got a lot of guys that's bigger, you got to compensate for a particular area. So sometimes it's just being, I don't know if it's the right word is popping up in my mind right now, but sometimes you got to be aware of your dimension and your own profile.
Yeah.
And if you act like you 6'1" and you really 5'7" or 5'8", that could get you into trouble.
Man,
But if you
absolutely.
accept that I'm 5'7", and then how do I cover for, or if you're not the height that you are or the size that you want, you got to compensate for that size in some other area to give you the
Right.
advantage. And I
Right.
think the speed, I think that the hitting the weight room the way I did, it changed the game because it gave me an advantage to deal with bigger receivers. And you're
Yeah.
talking about big pulling linemen.
Yeah. 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 But the thing is, what you did was you decided to be honest with yourself. I mean, it's just like the saying goes, man, you tell yourself a lie long enough, you'll begin to believe it, you know?
Man.
So you just got to be honest with yourself, you know. Look, if you really ain't putting in the work and you really ain't looking, you know, around and noticing you know, the things that are around you, meaning your competition, you know, and meaning, you know, where you are in comparison to the level of competition that you're playing at the moment, then you already lost in the sauce. You know,
Yeah.
if I'm a point guard, you know, and I knew last year that the guy that made first team All Ohio, you know, averaged 17 points, you know, 8 assists, you know what I'm saying, and 6 rebounds, then okay, now I got some stats, you know, to compare to, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But now beyond the stats, I want to look at his game. I'm like, okay, well, what intangibles does he bring with him? You know, oh, okay. His right hand, nice. He able to, you know what I'm saying, go to the right side of the floor, you know, finish strong with his right hand. Oh, okay. His left hand, nice. He able to attack the rim, you know, and get downhill, you know, and get to the basket, you know, using his left hand finish, you know, stuff like that. Oh, and he played defense?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So
hold on. You didn't go there. You didn't go there with the lost art of defense.
Man, come on, man. We talking about real well-rounded players here. You know what I'm saying? If you want to be first team All Ohio, if you want to be
Student
all
athletes, there's an offensive side to every sport, and there's a defensive side to every sport. The two work hand in hand.
Hand in hand, you know. And I mean, and if you playing on that basketball court, you know, you got to do it on both ends. You know, football, you know, it's a little different. You know what I'm saying?
Because yeah. But it's a universal principle through all sports.
It's a universal principle. Absolutely. You know, so, you know, it's all about, you know, being honest with yourself, you know, understanding your surroundings and then comparing those things, you know, like when I would talk to you know, our oldest boy, you know, who's up at Wayne State, you know, and he's playing football, right? You know, and he has dreams, he has aspirations, you know, and all of that stuff. But, you know, so what I try to tell him is, you know, well, you got to start looking at the comparables. I'm like, man, are you looking at the defensive tackles, you know, that are going to the NFL? Are you looking at their 40 time? Are you looking at how many times they can bench 225? Are you looking at their vertical? You know what I'm saying? Right. Are you looking at their body fat? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. All these comparables, you know.
So it's all the stuff that people don't pay attention to when you're hearing the locker room talk that you really got to be paying attention to. The stuff that look boring, the stuff that seem dull, that is the bread and butter or the foundation that you should be focused on, or that process of becoming, which will allow you to get the results that you want.
Right. But then you got them ones, and I call them the sneaky cats, you know, that'll play it like, you know, they'll downplay it, but they really listening. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And they really sitting back in the locker room, like peeping everybody. Like, okay, I see what it takes. Right. Let me sneak off. Let me sneak off to the gym so I can get some extra work in, you know, because I know this cat gonna be at the crib chilling, you know. And then the next thing you know, as the season is progressing and stuff like that, you starting to see him get better and better and better. Little bit at a time, at a time. You know what I'm saying? His endurance is greater. His conditioning is better. his shot getting better, his handle is getting better, you know, but that's that person that was just like sitting back and like really listening, and it clicked, you know, and when it's able to click for you, now you sizing up your competition. And you looking at the people that's playing in your position, you know, and it's like, okay, well, what can I do to either get his spot, or what can I do to stay 2 and 3 steps ahead of this person, you know, that's trying to get my minutes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And them sneaky cats, you know, that's going off to the gym. You know, when your boys and them, you know, is going back to the dorm, you know what I'm saying? And they might be playing cards or this and that, or they might have a little honey dip coming through or whatever. And they sneaking off to the gym because they want your minutes.
I call them the silent assassins.
The silent assassins, man. Yeah. But man, for the ones that's able to pick up on, you know, those types of things, you know, and get that understanding, man, you always gonna put yourself ahead of the competition.
Yeah, man. I really push myself as an athlete, and I really push the message or preach the message of the flashy stuff. Stay away from it, because if you can do the flashy stuff, when the right opportunity comes, you can do it.
Yeah.
If I can jump out the gym and dunk at any time, or if I'm a receiver like a Randy Moss that can just leap into the sky and catch a ball, if the opportunity comes, that's gonna happen. But it's the other stuff that don't get too much of the crowd roar, or the other stuff that's not being played on Sports Center.
Right.
That's the stuff that scouts is looking for. That's the stuff that college coaches is looking for, which puts you in a rank of putting your tallies up on earning more playing time.
Yeah, and you'll be surprised at how instinctive it becomes too, though. You know, because when you put in that type of work, man, you know, and you in a game and you just completely zone out. Like a lot of times, man, you don't even know like what you doing at the moment. You know what I'm saying? You just doing it, you know? And you know, and your instincts is just you know, taking over. You know, so it might come off as something that looked fancy, you know, for the people that was sitting in the stands that's watching.
Right.
But it was something instinctive that you did, you know, based upon the circumstance. Because
your training kicked in.
Yeah, the training kicked in, you know, the instincts kicked in, you know. A lot of times when somebody get on a fast break or something like that, you know, a lot of times they don't know what they're going to do, you know, but their instincts kicked in. And the next thing, you know, they then, you know, went between their legs in the air and then dunked on somebody, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, you just don't never know. But once again, that's just based upon that sweat equity.
Man, when you talk about sweat equity, Keys, man, I remember going into my junior year. Like I had a very, very good sophomore season. We played 10 games. I dressed varsity. I didn't get not 1 minute varsity, but I dressed varsity. And back then it was, shoot, if you dress in varsity, it was like you might be up next.
Yeah.
So going into my junior year, there was another junior in front of me. I was number 2.
Yeah.
And, you know, he put his time in. He put the sweat equity in. So it was the natural order of things that he would get the first shot. And so what I kept focused on is, man, I would love to start right now. I did my assessment. I got a junior in front of me. Now, on paper, I'll say, when you look at all the comparables, I think at that particular time, I knew possibly I was a better athlete, but he put in the time. So I said, you know what? I'm going to just keep grinding and focusing every day. Man, I showed up to practice one day, and guess what? It was like, he quit. It was like he got some circumstances going on at the house and he had to go get a job and help out.
Wow.
Now, if I wouldn't have focused on, if I would have been so focused on the results, like I'm not number one on the depth chart right now. Yeah, right. Man, he a junior. Why is he why is he starting over me? Well, if I would have focused on that and not the process of becoming, when he walked away, I'd have not had the confidence to just walk in and was like, so when they told me, I was like, oh, for real? And, you know, just the human side of me was like, oh man, he had to stop, help take care of his family. Right. But on the other end, I was like, well, cool, I'm up next because I know about the work that I put in. I knew about the work that I put in, number one, with the team. And then for all those who know about Canton, Ohio, and live around Canton, man, I was at the monument running them steps.
Yeah.
We was me and my boys from the defensive backfield. We was going different places outside of practice and going through the drills. So I was able to have a level of confidence where I wasn't just nervous.
Right.
Of course, you got butterflies, but I wasn't just nervous because I knew I put the work in so that just in case if he got hurt or something happened, but I didn't know he was just going to just walk away. And then that put me in the position to start my junior year.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to the level of athletes that came through Canton McKinley, now I started 10 regular season games my junior year. I start 3 games in the playoffs. So going into my senior year, now I got the pressure. I really say I think I probably had one of the top 10 hardest senior years ever. So now I got a freshman by the name of Mike Doss coming from Hartford Junior High School.
Right.
This is a future first team All-Ohio. Right. This is a future back-to-back Ohio High School state champion. This is a future 2002 Ohio State Buckeye national champion. This is a future 3-time first team All-American.
Right.
3-time first team All-Big Ten.
Right.
This is a future Super Bowl champion with the Indianapolis Colts, who's like, hey, I'm a freshman.
Right.
I can either start 4 years or 3 years if you don't put in the work.
Right.
So I had to still going into, after starting the whole season plus 3 playoffs game.
Yeah.
I had to go into the senior like I never touched the field for 1 snap.
Right.
Because the reality was he was a athletically superior athlete.
Yeah.
But I had an advantage on I'm faster, I'm stronger, and I got 13 games of experience. So I'm gonna work out like I never played a snap. And then I focus on the process of becoming. And the reality was, because I put the work in, I was able to allow for him to be a 3-year starter versus a 4-year starter. And that was a lot of pressure, man, because it was like swallowing that big pill, like, Les, be humble.
Right.
Because they can do this without you.
Yeah.
And I think that's a mindset that today's student athletes got to realize. That it was that saying, one monkey don't stop no show.
Right.
So you got to be willing to go through the process. And if you go through the process, it increases the likelihood that you get the results that you want.
Right. Really what it sounds like, man, that process, isn't so much, the competition that, you believe that you're facing, but it's truly you versus you.
Ooh.
It's almost like, and I always got to throw in a Bible reference, when we on this podcast, man. But, it's almost like, when the Israelites was scoping out Canaan, the land of Canaan, and Caleb and Caleb and
are you talking about the story when it was was it the 2 spies when it looked through the promised land?
The 2 spies, yeah, man. Who was the next one that had took over after Moses?
Joshua.
Caleb,
yeah.
Joshua. So they had went out and they went over to look over the land, man. You know, when they was looking over the land,
Mm-hmm.
you know, they seen the giants.
Mm-hmm.
And they was like, man, we like grasshoppers in their sight. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
So when they had went back to the camp, you know, and they was telling them everything that was going on, and they was telling them about the land, and you know, and how
big the grapes
you know,
was.
big the grapes was, you know, and all of that stuff. And they giants, man, like they literal giants. We look like grasshoppers. And Caleb stepped up and said, man, they like bread for us, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We ain't scared. Ain't nobody scared.
Mindset.
They like bread for us. You know what I mean? So it's that mindset, you know. So a lot of times, you know, we'll look at our competition like they giants. You know what I'm saying? And we to ourselves, we like thinking like we grasshoppers. You know what I mean? So it's really you versus you.
Yeah.
You know, because you dealing with yourself concerning that matter. You already psyching yourself out.
Especially when you talk about the process of becoming.
Right.
It don't have nothing to do with nobody else on your team.
Right.
And it doesn't have to do with the competition that you playing against.
Right. And see, and that's the thing. Like when you get up on a college level and stuff like that, you know, a lot of people already have the comparables. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, you fast, he fast. You know what I'm saying? You can handle the ball, he can handle the ball. You know, he can shoot, you can shoot. So how do you, you know, create that space? How do you create a gap? You know what I'm saying?
So I know you're about to take them back to mastering the basics.
Man,
and who mastered at a whole nother level. That's a key word that Jay said. When you start comparing the comparables, everybody, once you hit a certain level, everybody can do. Now it becomes about how much you're willing to invest.
Everybody, man. And like, I know, like you even hear the stories, like once you get to the pro level and, you know, cats that's on like NBA teams or, you know, or cats that's on like, you know, the Baltimore Ravens team or something like that, you know, and, you know, well, we'll stick to basketball, you know, for this scenario, but
yeah.
It'd be somebody that sit on the bench, you know, be like the 10th, 11th, 12th man, you know, and, you know, they may only be averaging like 4 points a game or something like that in the NBA or whatever. But then they'll come back home in the summer league and stuff like that from their hometown and be killing.
Yep.
Killing. You know what I'm saying? And then cats would be like, man, I ain't know he was that nice. You know, well, yeah, he playing the league.
First of all, he's a professional and he's getting paid to do it
for a reason. You know what I'm saying? Like, for instance, man, E. Snow. E. Snow.
Eric Snow,
you know? Man, when you look at E's career and stuff like that, you know, playing in the NBA, you know, so forth and so on, everybody knew, like, you know, on that level, Eric wasn't no scorer.
Right.
You know, he was a leader, he was a distributor, and he was a defender.
And he was gonna get a ball to Allen Iverson.
Exactly. Exactly. He was a distributor. All I got to do is get the ball to AI, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna leave, you know, with at least 8, 9 assists. Period. Just get the ball to the AI, you know, and
see, that's the type of stuff that if you're a student of the game, I don't have to be a scorer. I don't have to be a scorer or a scoring champion to be able to have a great career. And I think Eric Snow is a classic example of, if I do my job, I make myself valuable, not being in the top of the scores in the NBA, or that's transferable to any other sport as well.
Oh man, absolutely. And see, and that's a whole nother topic right there, just in regards to, you know, just playing your role and doing your job. But, you know, but my point was, you know, he would come back home in the summertime and play pickup games and be killing
at the Southeast Community Center.
And be killing. Can't nobody stop him. You know what I'm saying? He getting bucket after bucket after bucket. And then you be like, man, well, why he ain't doing that in the league? You know what I'm saying? It's because, man, it's a whole nother monster. you know.
That's my role in the league.
That's exactly.
But I can shoot your lights out here.
Exactly, man.
So which tells me from watching him at Camp McKinley, being a scorer, I have to know my role. Not that I can't score, but for me to thrive and have a long career, that's not my job here, is to be a scorer. I'm a distributor here. I'm a facilitator.
Yes.
I'm a defender.
Yes.
Which keeps me in the league long versus the guy who says, no, I'm scoring, but you only last 3 years in the league.
And bro, just like you said, he's the perfect example, because just like you said, at McKinley, he was an elite scorer.
Mm-hmm.
But even when he got to college
at Michigan State,
he played with Sean Respert.
Mm-hmm.
Sean Respert was the scorer. Man, you know what I'm saying? So he began to define his role even then when he was at Michigan State as a distributor, as a defender, and as a leader, you know? So it was easily transferable for him once he got to the league, especially when he started playing with AI.
Yeah. So he was committed to the process, and that process will allow you to adapt in ways that you need to adapt to get the results that you want, which is actually playing.
Man, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, and them checks kept rolling in. He did exactly what they needed him to do. And that's what he got paid to do. AI got paid to score. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So this is what we paying AI for. All right. But we need somebody that's going to be able to defend, you know, the best guard on the other team. You know? Okay. Eric Snow, you 6'3", you strong, you got tree trunks. People ain't just gonna easily be able to back you down and post you up and this, that, and the third. You know what I'm saying? So your job is to defend, your job is to get AI the ball, and your job is to be a leader on and off the floor. And he did that, and they paid him very well for it.
And I'll say, in a different light, everybody would like to hear that I am the man on the team, but that made him the man on the team.
Yeah.
And so there's multiple men on the team if you just commit to the process and the plan. But if you just get caught up on, I'm not the man that they always talking about, it could put your playing time in jeopardy.
Absolutely. I mean, you're talking 13, 14 years in the league. Come on, man.
Yeah. You can.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I hope everybody that's listening is seeing the universe, is listening and picking up on the universal principles that will get you the results that you want. Number one, I gotta focus on the basics, the stuff that everybody don't want to focus on. That's the stuff that you gotta focus on, and it's not flashy, but you'll be that person. Look up on the scoreboard. Oh, he had that many touchdowns. Oh, he had that many points. But because I was focusing so much, I remember I watched this clip with Kobe. He talked about how he would work out. You talked about he's working out in a full sweat before 4 o'clock.
Right.
Then he would come home, get something to eat. Then he got his second workout.
Right.
Then he got his third workout.
Right.
He worked out 3-4 times a day, getting stretched and all that. And then he said by the time he was year 3 to 5 in the league, because he put so much time in, he separated himself from the best of the best.
Right. Absolutely.
And so I think we really have to buy into the process, student athletes, that if I invest more, because I like how you made that I can't let that one go. Everybody, once you hit a certain level, everybody can do certain things.
Yep.
But what can you do in that third quarter when it's crucial, and that fourth quarter when it's crucial, when everybody isn't at, when they conditioning then drop,
right? Or
they feeling weak, or they might be playing with something sore, but because I stick to my routine, because I stuck to the fundamentals, those are the things that's going to carry me through. Now, Jay, on average, every show will have a different segment. And so today's segment is called What Drives You. Yeah. We talked about mastering the fundamentals, and we talked a lot about focus on the things that's not flashy. So if I am a student athlete and I'm going to make a commitment after hearing this message, I'm going to focus on the principles. I'm going to focus on what's really should be primary and not the glitz and glamour of the game, while still work on some of those things. What drives a Eric Snow? What drives a Kobe Bryant? Because it's those things, I think, if we keep in mind what drives me, it keeps me on course to do what I need to do.
Yeah, my thing is,
I need to get.
My thing is build your house correctly. Ain't no shortcuts. You know, if you build your house correctly, then it'll be able to stand.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just the bottom line. You know, it'll be able to stand, you know, when you know it's the fourth quarter and everybody else tired. You know, it'll be able to stand when you playing against somebody that's bigger than you, that's stronger than you, maybe even faster than you. It'll still be able to stand, you know, because, you know, you're going to run into, just like Les was saying, you know, different types of, you know, physicalities and things of that nature, you know, and you're going to have to decipher how to attack that type of competition. You know, you might be facing against somebody that's, you know, dominantly left-handed, you know, and that goes to like boxing. You know, most boxers are, you know, right-hand punchers, you know what I'm saying? But if they facing a southpaw, then now I got to adjust, you know, and, you know, so now I got to come with a different type of strategy, you know, but still I'm not going to get away from my foundation that got me here in the first place, you know? So as long as your foundation is there, then it doesn't matter what type of situation or arena that you step into, you know, because you'll already be positioned for whatever you face.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I know the thing that drove me was I swallowed the pill that I gotta be committed to the process of becoming. And I know for a fact, not just in sports, but also for certain things off the field, that if I commit to the process, it increases the likelihood. So we're talking about percentages, because in every sport, there's a percentage that if you do X, Y, and Z, it'll yield a higher percentage. And so I just want to encourage all the student athletes out here, be focused on the process of becoming, because if you don't focus on becoming and you don't become, you won't be able to perform when you need to perform.
Yeah. And in order to become, man, you got to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
you got to be honest, man. People, man, these young cats got to stop running around here just saying that they nice just for the sake of saying they're nice, and they put in no work.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Like mentally, Friday, Saturday night, we played. Sunday, you sitting watching film, and the eye in the sky don't lie.
Right.
You got to be able to say, this play I did this well. This play I did this well.
Yep.
This play, you stunk. What did you not do right? Did you take the wrong angle? Yep. You got to be honest about that. So yeah, we gotta be honest, man. And mentally, in our mind, we got to look at the game film and know that nobody does everything perfect.
Right.
In baseball, to become a Hall of Famer, I got to be able to hit the ball, or a great home run hitter, I got to hit the ball 3 out of 10 times.
Right.
So 7 times, I'm not hitting the ball.
Right.
Your greatest cat's going to strike out 7 times out of 10.
Right.
But I need to focus on that process of becoming to hit the ball 3 times out of 10.
Right.
Which puts me in a different league. And I think that's transferable across the board.
It definitely is, man. I mean, it's just like what you talked about. If you're a defensive back and you know your back pedal ain't good, then you need to work on your back pedal. You know, that's
because
just
the
being
back
honest.
pedal is the gateway to every other thing you're gonna do as a defensive back.
Every other thing, man. You know, if you run track, you know what I'm saying, and you know your starts is slow, then I need to work on being able to get out the blocks quicker.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
You know, if I play basketball, my left hand ain't all the way right, you know, and I know it's shaky, then I need to get in the gym, man. I need to be working on my left hand.
Yep.
You know, so it's just being honest instead of just, you know, pacifying yourself by saying I'm nice.
Yeah, because it comes a point when you can't just talk. You actually have to put in the work.
Yeah, because you're gonna get exposed.
Yeah. And the thing is, you're gonna feel that tension of sometime I'm not getting the results that I want. So you got to commit to never quitting. Yes. Because never quitting puts you in position to strive for greatness.
Yep.
And you're gonna have those ups, you're gonna have those downs. But the key is you gotta find your focus and realize that becoming is the answer to everything.
Yep.
Student athlete world, we're out of time, but certainly not out of message. This is the I Am Student Athlete podcast. And remember that greatness is a process and that you are more than an athlete. Peace.